This is a place I wanted to visit for a long time. The Isles are probably the most remote previously inhabited islands in Great Britain. Believe it or not, but people used to live here for thousands of years. They lived here until 1930s. To get there you had to go to Sky Island, so it took us about 12 hours to get there, and afterwards we had to take a boat which takes about 4 hours.
So you can make your decisions about what sort of walking you're going to do for yourselves. Okay everyone?
Well, there's no smoking on the boat, which means if I'm outside having a fag, it's not allowed to get published on any website. Good? Yeah, that's fine. See the whales today.
Gannetry, or one of the largest gannetries in the world. On the island of Borray here. And you can see that the gannets have made good use of the geological features. For the birds, at the height of the breeding season there are up to 1 million birds here. The tertiary igneous massif, this volcano was formed. Those of you who haven't noticed already, there's some grey seals skulking around here in this sea cave. There's one on the rocks there, a young one. Grey seal on the rock, for those of you who haven't seen already. It's over here. Wild, relative, mouflon sheep which lives in the Alps of Europe. In here, the existing country rock, immense pressure, buttons within them. That food is then taken back to the nest and fed to the chicks. At the end of the season, the chicks are very fat. The adults can dive from 100 feet up in the sky at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour down onto their prey below, pelagic fish such as mackerel, herring, pints of oil, Fulmar oil. So that is well qualified as your system. They spend all their life in the open ocean. They only come to the cliffs here to breed. And the idea of that is that they use that oil to Fulmar's just fly. They don't sacrifice that kind of flight for an ability to fly.
I've got one in the pickup.
Yeah, I remember you saying. Ah, bugger. Don't think.
No, it was me. After I started it. Yep. The experience.
Huh?
We reached St Kilda. Yeah, St Kilda. Yeah, the trip takes in total 4 hours, and in these 4 hours I just got sick once, which was a good sign. I was expecting to be even more. I tried bands, sickness bands. It helped, but it didn't help enough. The skipper said it's as rough sea as they're allowed to sail on. So on the way here we saw a few islands which had a massive bird population and sheep surrounding massive cliffs.
Sustain them, but in terms of a source of protein, it's far more effective and reliable to rely upon the birds. So they're fowlers, not fishermen. There have been some boats coming ashore, and the local people will have seen these monks, not realising that that was going to then form the basis of their religious belief right up into the modern age. Prior to that, the sort of spiritual and religious welfare of the community was a pagan one. and they would have been, and it's reputed to have been the case that they would have been following the same sort of belief system that the Druids of Western Europe would have been preaching, in a localized shamanic kind of way. There are artifacts that are here in the form of Druidic altars, one of which is on Soay, and obviously expert archaeologists have confirmed that indeed the actual structure on Soay is what they suspect to be a Druidic altar, and I'm not going to question that, and so we can kind of infer that the advent of Christianity coming here being quite late, just because it's a long way out for people to come. Have a wee stop and chat about something interesting about the ship from Soay after the evacuation. Because they are a domestic breed, even though they are quite ancient. It means that in the winter, those young gather together in groups now. A lot of salt spray coming up here.
It'll be coming in.
I mean, don't forget, see Doon over there. The waves crash over there. What's the first thing you notice when you come in here?
It's very small.
Yep.
There's no
it
fire.
Absolutely is.
There's no fires.
There's no. You're right. There's no proper fireplace. There's no chimney. It's very small. Now, you might think, well, a small house. Well, it's not ideal if you've got a big family, but. One of the factors that dictates how big the place is the availability of resources. So what is in superabundance, of course, is stone.
Yeah.
So why not build a castle? You could essentially, couldn't you, build... There's no brocks here. You notice like the sort of Stone Age brock type structures. Why didn't they do that? Because they had raiders over the years. People would come here raiding because they had a lot of meat and things and grain that people could take from them. And the reason is because there was no timber, or a little availability of timber. So in order to put a roof on a house here, you'd have to have timber A-frames, and that has to come from the beach. It doesn't come from trees, right? So that immediately means that you have to have a smaller house. The fire will be here in a pit. Now it'll be about here, because just here would be the communal bunk, and the whole family would sleep in this bunk. So everybody would be benefiting from everybody's body warmth. My hands are freezing at the minute. I should put them in my pockets, really. Wear gloves, man. Wear gloves. It's August, though.
I know.
So you've got your fire here, and very likely, if you can imagine it, they'd have a wee pot on there on a night time as the embers were dying down, and they put the oats in, so they have porridge in the morning. And the porridge again would then be used. Nothing would get wasted. That would get made into oat cakes and whatnot and things like that. Yep. They'd have a beast in here, and you can actually see there's a delineation in the ground here where the beast was kept in this corner in this particular black house. They're not all the same. They're a variation on a theme as you move. If you go inside them, you'll see. And this is the byre. So, and of course, if you keep stock of any kind or animals of any kind, you can't let them walk around in their own dirt, because their feet start to rot and that's it, they're finished. So regularly they'd muck the animal out, and they'd keep the muck over here in a pile, believe it or not. And any ideas why they might tolerate that dirt inside the house? I'll put you out of your misery. All the liquids, of course, would drain off out of here. Yeah. So what's happening to the organic matter?
Drying
when it's dry, it's dry.
Becomes fuel.
It's a good idea.
Fertiliser?
It would be used eventually as that, but while it's decomposing
just the heat
and fermenting, exothermic reaction, you see, chemical reaction as it's composting means that heat's getting thrown off. Now in a small room like that, that's a lot of heat. They knew exactly what they were doing. Because somebody would walk in here and they'd think they'd walked into a shambles. Animal feces, draining urine, a cow plopping here, loads of people in the same bed, a dirt floor, sloped, doesn't make any sense. It's like, they're living like medieval peasants. Yeah, but the thing is, you see, they knew what they were doing. Everything worked. It wasn't rammed earth, it was a hard stone floor. So there's the big round one, prominent gravestone here. There were so many infantile deaths, in fact, that they would inter children in the ground before they even had a name. So even if they could mark the graves, they wouldn't have names. They were feared of giving the child a name because they were so afraid that the child was going to die. So there were a lot of nameless children buried in the cemetery.
Had a day walk around St. Kilda Island, and the island is so unique. Has different time period artifacts, lots of sea, so definitely day hike is not enough. You can stay much longer and explore it. Lots of material available as well, books and artifacts from the island.